Welcome, San Diego Hebrew Day Middle School students. You may be asking yourself right now, what are we doing here? Celebrating the life of Reuben Klamer, who made it to the age of 99 years old and passed away last month on September 14th, 2021. Well, we're going to tell you. Reuben Benjamin Klamer was born on June 20th, 1922 in Canton, Ohio, to Jewish immigrants from Romania. He was the first in his family to attend college. He first started a year at George Washington University, but then he missed his friends and home, so he transferred over to Ohio State University, where he started taking business classes. It was then that the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941. He wanted to join the Navy, but because Ohio State didn't have an ROTC program, he transferred to the University of Michigan for training. He ended up graduating in 1943, and then with the Navy was sent to the South Pacific during World War II. While he was overseas, he received his bachelor's degree in business administration from Ohio State University. After the war, he moved to Southern California and worked for several companies until he landed a job with the toy division of Eldon Industries in 1951. His biggest accomplishment there was developing a special unbreakable plastic that they ended up using with toys, because back before then, toys made out of plastic easily shattered and broke. With this new special plastic, he started making toys, with his first toy being the hula hoop, which quickly became one of the nation's largest manufacturers for the hula hoop with that special unbreakable plastic. After that, in his career, he developed over 200 toys and other items, including moon rocks and Fisher-Price roller skates. Reuben Klamer's best known invention was the Game of Life, the board game in which the winner was the person who had the most money after going through a journey of school, work, marriage, children, and retirement. The game was so popular that at one point in time it was only second to Monopoly. Because of his creation with the Game of Life, he was inducted into the Hasbro Inventors Hall of Fame in 2000, the Toy Industry Hall of Fame in 2005, and in 2009 he received the Toy and Game Inventor Expo's Lifetime Achievement Award, where they actually made a doll of Mr. Klamer. What a life Mr. Klamer had. But now you're probably asking yourself, how does he have a connection to San Diego Hebrew Day School? Right around 1996, a Hebrew Day parent named Dr. Dennis Goodman introduced Reuben Klamer to the Hebrew Day School and Rabbi Weiser. He was so inspired by the midot and potential of our middle school students that he became interested in developing a leadership program in our school. This program came to be known as the Reuben Klamer Game of Life Youth Leadership Program, which developed presentation skills, planning and team building skills, trust building activities, brainstorming techniques to support innovation and creativity, personal confidence, listening skills, and the ability to relate to all people. This leadership program was spread throughout the humanities program and elective program. Today we're going to hear from one of the teachers that worked with Reuben Klamer to develop and instill the Reuben Klamer Game of Life Youth Leadership Program. We're also going to hear from Dr. Dennis Goodman, who introduced Reuben Klamer to the day school, and of course Rabbi Weiser, who had a long-standing, wonderful relationship with Reuben Klamer.
Good morning, everybody. Morning. Upon entering the home of Reuben Klamer, my inner child jumped out at me. A home full of toys, fun, and color, especially the backsplash of his kitchen. Meeting the man himself, I saw right away that Mr. Klamer understands the minds of children, that he is the perfect person to invent games and toys. I was so pleased to meet the person who created the game that I loved so very much when I was a child. Just speaking with the inventor of the Game of Life showed me his creativity and his ability to pioneer ideas and bring them to fruition. These qualities playfully to come up with new ideas, and then to follow through the creative process from start to completion are what we hope for all of you, our students. Mr. Klamer showed us a great example to follow. His secret to success can become ours as well. Today, I express our thanks to Mr. Reuben Klamer on behalf of the Reuben Klamer Student Leadership Game of Life Council and our student body for his constant support of future leaders, you, our students. And now I'd like to call up Dr. Dennis Goodman for a personal reflection about Mr. Reuben Klamer.
Okay, start the clock, Rabbi. It's a real privilege for me to be here. I've been very involved in the school. My children came to the school many years ago, and I'm very proud of them. And I have no doubt that their success today, may it long continue, is because of this school and what was instilled into them. And I've just got a few minutes to tell you why Reuben Klamer was so special to me. Because you saw about the achievements that he's had in his life. You know, we all have a CV ultimately. You do this, and you do this. But on the CV, which is your bio, it doesn't say what kind of character you've got. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. I was Reuben's doctor from 1992. So we're talking about almost 30 years. And I became a close friend to him. So he'd been through bypass surgery and an aortic valve, which is a valve in the heart replacement. And I'm just going to tell you the characteristics of Reuben that stood out, and then I want to tell you a story about his life. Reuben had an incredible attitude. I want you to think about these things. I'm going to give you 6 things. I hope when you're at home tonight, you can tell your parents or you can tell your friends, what are these characteristics that make a successful, amazing human being? He had an amazing, positive attitude. He had gratitude for everything that he did and everything he received. He was kind. He was compassionate. He had incredible integrity, and he had incredible generosity of spirit. When I introduced him to this school, he immediately wanted to give something back. He didn't think about what's this doing for me. He wanted to give something back to the students. And he started with this student Game of Life leadership program. So I have nothing but gratitude for Reuben and Reuben being in my life, and I'm going to tell you one quick story which exemplifies these characteristics I told you about. And it goes like this. Reuben needed a surgery. He already had bypass surgery, which I'm not going to go into, but it's a type of heart surgery where you have to bypass blockages. But a few years later, about 8 years later, he ended up having a narrowing in one of these heart valves. Those of you who want to be doctors, you can write down aortic valve, because you're going to learn about it. It's the valve that lets blood out of the heart. And this valve became very narrow. Now imagine blood pumping out of the heart, and the blood can't get out because there's an obstruction. It's like a hose pipe. When you bend the hose pipe, the blood can't get out. The water can't get out. So Reuben was having this surgery, and I remember saying to him, you are going to need a surgery. There's no other treatment. And if you don't have this treatment, you're going to go into heart failure and you won't live for probably a year. Or you'll live for, at the most, another year. And I asked him, Reuben, don't forget, he's in his 80s. It's very important that you have good attitude if we're going to send you to surgery. And I want you to think about whether or not you want to carry on living. Because you're going for a major procedure, and I want you to feel positive about it. And he said, yes, he wants to do it. He's got lots to do and accomplish in his life. He often used to say that. I'm not done yet, he used to say. And he said that at age 99. The night before his surgery, B, over here, who you'll hear about in a minute, who's been this amazing companion and caregiver of Reuben, called me and she said, it was 10 o'clock at night, Reuben is very afraid and he's decided he doesn't want to have the surgery. He's extremely anxious. And I went to visit him. And Reuben said, you know what, I don't want to do it. I'm not sure I want to live anymore and I'm too afraid. And I said, Reuben, you're going to do it, but I want you to have a good attitude. And we worked on attitude that night. And then he changed his attitude. And he said to me, "But will you be in the surgery?" Now, I'm a cardiologist, and I had a very busy practice, and what was I going to say? It was hard for me to take the day off or the morning off to be in surgery. But I said, I will be in surgery. And I knew that at least I'm going to spend some time in the operating room. Reuben came to the hospital the next morning. We were in a pre-operative area, which is the area that you wait before you go into the operating rooms. And Reuben was there, and his son Johnny was there, and I was there, and Bea was there, and we had one or two of the staff from the hospital, and we started to sing songs to Reuben. We sang his favorite song, King of the Road. And you know what? You could see all his anxiety disappearing. He just became so at peace with his decision to have surgery. And I'll never forget, and thank God it went well. I went into the operating room, I took pictures, and he came to my office 2 weeks later when all was well with the surgery. And he said, "Dennis," because he called me Dennis, he was a friend. He said, "You can't believe what that meant to me, that I was singing songs before I went in for my operation. And I saw myself going in on the hands in the arms of angels that God had sent to me." So on top of all these characteristics, he had a belief, he had a spirituality. And the idea that angels are carrying him in to surgery for him meant that he's going to be in God's hands and he's going to make it. So I tell that story because it exemplifies the life of Reuben. I want to say that it's been a privilege that he had a human being like that in my life. And I just want to say to you, the students and the children, think about those qualities, because Reuben might have started the leadership program here, but he gave so much more. And even though he's passed on, think about what he gave to all those that were in his orbit, in his space. And these are things I want you to think about. No matter how you do in school, no matter what you get in the exams, think about how you treat other people. And think about Reuben. All these characteristics: attitude, gratitude, kindness, compassion, integrity, generosity of spirit, and spirituality. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goodman. And I thank you also for making the connection, because Mr. Klamer was really a dear, dear friend of my family and myself. And I want to tell you something. He was a man who passed away 99 years old. He was a person that you had the chance to visit with him. It brought a smile to your face. You felt warmth. You felt recognized. You felt loved when you just sat and talked to him. A very rare quality, something that each of us should try to develop. But I want to explain something first. Why today? What is today? Wednesday, October 13th, a lot of different things. Today is the 30th day from the day that Mr. Klamer passed away at the age of 99. So I want you to understand what we see Jewish tradition as teaching us. If you look in the Torah, you'll see people mourn for 30 days after Moshe passed away. So it has a significance. Today has a special significance in that regard. And I'll tell you a little heebie-jeebie Kabbalistic reality. A person dies, they say the soul of the person remains here. Person's buried, the soul and the body separate from each other, and for the next 7 days, the soul of the person is really in the world, so to speak, even though we can't talk to the person or see the person. And then from the end of Shiva, from 7 days, until the 30th day, the soul is in the process of leaving, so to speak. So this really is a day to say goodbye once again to a person that we really cherish and that those of us who knew him would miss, and to remember him and think about him in a specific way. There's a Yortzeit candle here, which I'm not lighting out here because it'll blow out, but it'll be lit in the school when we're done. And that's the appropriate thing when we have a significant day when we remember someone's life. Typically in the future it's celebrated on the calendar date that the person passed away. We always light a Yortzeit candle. Why? Because the soul of a person gives light and creates light. And we want to sort of hold on to that light. I want to tell you an event recorded in the Gemara in the Talmud, which I always related to Reuben Klamer. The following event took place. Talmudic times. Some of these rabbis were unbelievably great people. And this rabbi lived in a village in Israel, and he was walking, and all of a sudden he understood that Eliyahu HaNavi, the prophet Eliyahu, who sort of remains in this world throughout history, was walking alongside of him. And they started to talk to each other. Not something that I've experienced, even Rabbi Hollander's experienced, but some of these really great people have experienced that. They're walking in the marketplace, and the man turns to Eliyahu HaNavi, Elijah the prophet, and says, "Tell me, of all the people in the marketplace here, which ones have a place in the world to come? Who's special? Who deserves to be recognized?" Now I would think, well, this one's very honest. I'm sure that would be a good criteria. This person's very kind. This person shares their ideas with other people to try to enlighten them. Believe it or not, Eliyahu HaNavi pointed to two people walking around. They were jokers. And they would go around and tell a little joke to someone. If they saw two people arguing, they would right away come over and they would try to solve the argument. They were two people, as they went through life, they wanted to be sure, is everybody happy? Are the people around us happy? Can I bring a smile to someone's face? Some joy into someone's life? And Eliyahu said to this rabbi, those two guys, they're not the big rabbis, they're not the scholars, they're not known in the public, but those are the people. When I met Reuben Klamer, I thought of that Gemara. Reuben Klamer, I brought 4 students from this school to his house to play a new version of the game of life that he was developing. Pete Bardot was there with us. There was a camera set up to record it, and we didn't have cameras on our phones in those days. It was a big camera. And Mr. Klamer sat on the side, and he only watched for one thing. Are these kids having a good time? Are they interacting with one another nicely? Is this a game that's going to bring people together in a happy, nice, pleasant way? And when they're finished playing, will they get up from the table feeling more connected to one another, feeling more part of a community? I could talk about Reuben Klamer all day. I just wanted to share this one idea with you. Reuben Klamer walked into the school for the first time. He looked around and he said to me, these are kids I want to know and I want to be involved with. Okay? In recent years, he hasn't been in this school. He passed away at 99. He was less active. But he was no less involved in looking other people in the face and thinking, is everybody happy? Is there something I can do to make someone else more comfortable? For me, it was orange juice. Okay? Whenever he would see me, he'd say, come, let's sit down, let's have a glass of orange juice together. And he always provided it, and we always had a cup of orange juice together. All the way through, even the last time I visited him. That's what I wanted to share with you. Today's the 30th day. His neshama, his soul, is at a certain stage of exiting from amongst us. But Mr. Klamer, God should rest his soul, left us with so many beautiful examples that Dr. Goodman spoke about, that I experienced, for us to remember and think about, and for each of us to be more like him. I know it's 11:30, you have to get back to class. I want to recognize Mrs. B. Pardo. She was always with Mr. Klamer every time I visited, every time kids came. She's an inventor in her own right, a toy designer. Next time you play with a toy, you can take a look at her. She's one of the people who have professionally created experiences for children and adults that we can enjoy, that bring a smile to our face, and give us joy and happiness. And please God, each one of us should be able to say that in our lives too. We helped other people be happy, enjoy life, and feel connected to one another. Have a good day, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I say one more word about maybe address? Is it on? Yeah. I just want to take one minute to say what the school meant to him and what you meant to him, because it was a way for him to express his love of people.
Thank you very much. Thank you that you want everybody back to class. And everything in time for the next class. Thank you very much for so cooperatively participating in today's memorial. Have a great school day.